Ladies and gentlemen, the time is finally upon us. The semifinals of World Championship 2018, and it should be a battle.
It's going to be an awesome match. G2 and IG, we've been just sitting there wondering how this is going to go. The draft of Game 1, to me, is going to be the most interesting thing, especially with IG going blue side after 5 games of red side against KT.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we've seen how much G2 prefers blue side and how that enables them to go for the power picks, to take flex picks, first picking things like Akali, like Aatrox. And, to me, this seems more of IG trying to deny G2 their strategy than playing to what their own preferences have been this year.
And that is going to be the most curious thing about, to me, it's the question of, do you play to G2's playstyle and say, we've got the Shy, we've got Rookie, we put trust in our solo laners to do it better, or do you change the battleground and go for a different style? Because we know what G2 wants to do. IG should have it very, very clear. You don't have to watch all the VODs and cram them to understand that, but you can try to flip the battlefield and move away from just challenging carry versus carry.
It's so interesting, though, because so much of this Worlds we have talked about playing your own style. That is how teams have succeeded. And when you look at IG in North America and in Europe, when blue side was winning so heavily, in China, the red side was winning more than the blue side, and it was through counter picks, and IG was one of the teams that exemplified that more than any other.
And that's one thing that will be interesting to see, especially in these drafts. These two teams, they seem so different in the way that they want to play the game. G2, very slow starting. Even as they close games out and they have leads, they want to play it very safe, very methodical. IG, once they get ahead, man, they are a firecracker. It's going to be fun.
And those stats, of course, bore it out. Not many of the kills that G2 pick up are in team fights. Usually need a team fight wipe to end a game, to actually take a pivotal advantage. G2 try to grind it through consistent pressure that opens you up to maybe just losing a game straight up if you make a big mistake. It's been a while since we've seen those critical mistakes. It's not going to be a while, though, to Champion Select.
Champion Select for game number 1 will be underway. Let's see how they go about it. And IG, first ban of this series, paying respect where respect is due, banning out the Heimerdinger as G2 will remove Xayah from the pickable champion pool. Important thing to note about Jackie Love. He has played only 2 champions this entire tournament, Kai'Sa and Xayah.
And that is very important, but I actually thought it was another Lover, specifically the other side of the Lovers bot lane in Rakan against Baolan. There will be a big first ban here from the side of G2. So already a bit of a surprise. No surprise on the Heimerdinger ban. We know that's the pocket pick of Hjarnan. Ning doesn't play Nocturne, or at least hasn't shown it with any reliability, so they have to ban it on blue.
This to me immediately signifies with the Victor ban, they're going to first pick the Aatrox on the blue side here. They're going to try to take that away from Wunder, but that means it could be a trade for the Akali, because that is traditionally what G2 wants to go for. Wow, I'm actually pretty surprised.
Now, this is a very big thing to leave up. When it came to those big champions, Bippo, for example, talking about how Akali, Aurelia, all these big picks like LeBlanc, the first pick I thought was least likely to get through was the Akali. It gets first picked. Do note, in solo queue, it has been a lot of Lucian. It's a fallback for Jackie Love. That's usually where he goes. But the only 2 champions he's played all tournament have been target banned by G2, clearly targeting this 17-year-old ADC.
And you can tell they came into the game with that strategy ready to go by how this is playing out so far. G2 going to grab themselves the Alistar first and foremost. We talk about how Akali's a big pick. Alistar has been huge, mostly banned throughout this tournament as well. Aatrox also going the way of G2 as the Braum is locked in for IG.
And do you just first round Braum Lucian, the big favorite coming through from C9 that they used to such success against Afrika, was that duo lane, and then suddenly it wouldn't have been as clean an answer available for the side of G2 Esports when it comes to 2v2 laning phase, but there's priority picks everywhere. Something has to go through, and right now they're thinking about the Camille flex pick on the side of IG, but no, it does end up being the Cloud9 special.
Yeah, exactly. We saw Cloud9 using this in the quarterfinals to great effect. We will see, if Hjarnan and Wadid are going to be able to kind of withstand the onslaught, because we know they're not going to have the Tahm Kench, which was so critical for them against RNG. But, very interesting to see that both the Rakan was ignored, who, as you said, was Baolan's really his best 2 games from the quarterfinals, and Tahm Kench also going to be ignored here for G2, which was such a key pick for them.
And as we get into the second part of the bans, note that G2 has banned out the Camille that IG was thinking of. And since G2 already went ahead and took out Jackie's big two champs, they may go ahead and do the same thing to Ning now as well.
And I've been very interested to see that approach. So far, they turned up the fire on Jackie Love. He defaults to the Lucian. They would have expected that based on LPL play and his recent solo queue trends. And then you have Ning, whose effective champion pool has also been really criticized and scrutinized very frequently. The Camille was one of his big picks. The Xin Zhao is the other one. So far, no Xin Zhao ban on either side.
But I think we could see G2 just taking the Xin as their next pick
Agreed.
here. So you ban one away, you try to push him over onto the Zac perhaps, and that could be very interesting.
Well, we'll see the LeBlanc be the final ban of the game here for IG as the Xin is locked in from G2, effectively denying it to Ning.
So they are trying to force him over onto a Zac pick perhaps, which has been kind of his third pick fallback. We also have to note that G2 still has the ability to flex this Aatrox to top or mid, which means that they can't actually just counterpick this. They can't lock in something like a Poppy or a Fiora because it could just be the Ryze flex pick and see that get swapped away.
That feels like the favor that the Victor first ban on blue side did for the side of Invictus Gaming, but we have to catch up to the picks here. We see a Jarvan pick, again, could be a flex. Jungle Jarvan, of course, a possibility, but hasn't been prioritized much so far at the World Championships. But we just had Victor out of nowhere, so it wouldn't be a huge surprise to see priority changing. Waiting for that final pick here and the confirmation, because to me, the Shy has been the Akali player that's shown the most, but Rookie is traditionally their leader and hard carry, so I'm interested to see where the Akali goes, and we're not going to know if they go for this Jace, which most recently was played by Rookie in that final game of the LPL final.
And we heard Frost talking about the fact that she thought the Jace would come out for Rookie today, so carries for the IG solo lanes, and still don't know where they're going to go.
And let me explain a small point here. Jace does very well against Ryze, and that's the pick you think would round out the draft for G2 because they were lacking on magic damage. They find magic damage, it's actually through the Swain. So I like the Jace when it comes to blocking certain picks, but now we have to wait for the lie of the land at 20 seconds because the flexes could still come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. It looks like G2 is going to try to play the Aatrox mid, and we are expecting it to be Rookie on the Jace against that. I do think, though, it's a pretty tough matchup for the Shy playing Akali into Swain. Swain does have a lot of ways to actually attack the Akali in the Shroud, both with your Q, which is very easy to hit on person in the Shroud still, and your ultimate essentially covers that entire radius. It's not an easy champion to burst down.
As you guys saw when the graphic came up, when the Jarvan was locked in, the champion's only been played 5 times so far at Worlds with only 1 single victory. So hasn't exactly been a real power pick here. We'll see how that does going up against the Xin Zhao that we've seen so much of throughout this tournament, especially as we already mentioned, Ning has played a ton of that. We'll see how well he does up against it because he will need to make plays to get his team going.
And playmaking will be so critical because you look at Jace and Rom Lucian, you know where they're bread is buttered the most. It's in the early game. There's a lot of priority mid and bot lane. And yes, the Akali left on a bit of an island, but if she can just farm it out and they can get advantages like C9 were able to over the Afrika Freaks in bot lane, you definitely need to check yourself. Yes, Hjarnan and Wadid are very good at absorbing pressure, but the pressure is only ratcheting up both in the fact that we're in Guangzhou, we're in the World Semifinals, and the draft here does telegraph go bot lane and get some kills.
It certainly does. You also have to say, though, that this Swain is not the split push style. It's more about team fighting, and we'll see if they go there.
Battle lines are drawn, champions are out onto the Rift, and it's 5 games, or potentially as low as 3 that stand between one of these two teams and a trip to the final match of Worlds 2018. Let's see how they play it out here at the level 1. See Jackie Love has eyes on Wadid there, but not going to get much more than a single auto attack off.
And we got an answer to a question very early in this draft of how would IG approach fighting fire with fire or trying to change the battlefield. They went the fire route, which of course is a very good sign for an exciting best of 5 here. They went for the early Akali. We've seen it from the Shy. We know Rookie can play it. The Jace also was flexible. So it seems like we're going pound for pound, which is exactly what you want because there's the potential for a lot of styling in terms of the solo lanes, especially in this game.
It's going to be really interesting, though, because you do feel like while Aatrox can split push, if Perkz doesn't get way ahead, this feels like a team fighting comp from G2, and that is not where they have had their success.
No.
When you think about, Game 3, G2 versus RNG, they went for a team fight style. That game went very poorly for them. Yes, Wunder can get a side lane advantage, but generally you then, on Swain, take that side lane advantage to the fights, to the objectives, where you try to get that work done.
And in that same Game 3 against RNG, it was Wunder and Hjarnan that were just really behind the entirety of the game, and it kept G2 from ever being able to set themselves up. This is a team that struggles if they can't get those solo laners ahead. We'll see the Shy now finding some early damage onto Wunder.
So the Shy went straight to lane and actually froze the wave to make it push towards him. Not true freeze, but it's pushing towards the side of the Shy and forced Wunder into taking a damage trade. So nice lane spacing there and a punish you can do if you expect the enemy top laner to be helping with a leash.
You can see how hard it can be to actually trade into the Swain, though. Even with his Grasp procced, he already had that prep from getting combat, still lost the trade with 2 Grasp procs on the Swain.
And as you can see, as is typical of blue side jungling these days, bottom side, Ning in the river at level 2. Yanko's coming up the river to top side level 2 here as well. Shy will manage to find himself that Shroud on the level up, which means he gets away safely as Ning didn't have the opportunity to make anything happen bottom. He'll just grab the Scuttle Crab and move into that enemy jungle. Doesn't look like he'll find too much.
Getting a lot of value out of this ward. Very, very tricky to pull off a turret dive here. But Alistair's only level 1, so given that, he's going to hang around. Probably just go take the Gromp. Bit of ships in the night action at level 1 as some aggressive trades already coming out.
Jackie Love knows how to go aggressive as mid lane. It's going to be Rookie maybe in some trouble now. Chain's going to find their way down, but Rookie steps out of the way, smacks Perkz back, and walks out.
Yeah, very nicely done there by Rookie, just going out the side of the chains. If you run along horizontally with it, you will get pulled back. So, calm under pressure there from Rookie, and certainly not expecting anything else from this guy who has been an absolute monster this tournament.
He has done so much work for the side of Invictus Gaming, and honestly, I can't give him praise without also giving Perkz praise, because Perkz has done a lot of heavy lifting for his team as well. Remember, it was his LeBlanc performance in the 5th and final game of that quarterfinal that really put them over the edge and made them find that win.
And remember Game 4, he popped off on the Aatrox mid lane and was, 5,000 gold up in his matchup against Xiaohu. So when it comes to hard carry, you'd have to say Perkz really put the bootstraps on and hard carried G2 to this semi-final. But the Jace, which we have already outlined, is a big pick for Rookie. Wasn't able to get that important win in the last game of the final, but it wasn't because of Rookie. He was fantastic, and this is a good matchup for the Jace.
It really is, and that's why so much of the question becomes, can Perkz have that incredible performance once more? Can he repeat that? Because it was a Herculean effort from him. He dominated those last 2 games, but it felt like they needed that to stay in the games, to be able to win those games. And if he can replicate that sort of performance against Rookie, you could see G2 in the finals.
But I think there is a tipping point in this matchup, going on to where this game goes, assuming there's not a big snowball early from IG. Sivir Wave Crew in the mid lane with Alistair roaming around, that's very standard. Aatrox versus Jace with 2-3 items is heavily Aatrox favored. There's only 1 disengage from the Jace with his hammer hit back, and after that, I think Aatrox could roll over, but the laning phase is susceptible. He's down 20 CS early. Yeah. He has to give up a lot of control, and if IG snowball, and Braum Lucian is a big spoiler for a snowball attempt, this could just be a game that's decided before Aatrox is really online.
It certainly can, and when you have a matchup going like this, you have to see G2. Oh, is he going for the solo kill?
Perkz going to be taken very low. Rookie here as well, both below 100 HP.
God.
Ooh, one more tick would have done it to either side, but they'll both go home alive.
And that is a big alarm going off. Junglers come to mid lane. Summoners down. They're going to be returning, and we saw Fnatic get Caps back in when he fell way down against Rookie in a similar situation. We have to now see, can G2 find the time while they're being pressured on the bottom side to get Wooded up there, to get Jankos there, to help out Perkz and get him back into the game.
And let's consider how the challengers have faced Rookie, the dubbed best mid laner at the tournament, basically consensus by everyone. Most people have just been going into negating matchups. Think of Yukal, who was so good in group stages, and he was jumping on to Urgot mid lane duty, building magic resist as fast as possible to try to negate Rookie's impact.
Yep.
This is a skill matchup that is pretty beneficial to the side of Rookie, and it's pretty one-sided, honestly, in the early game. So this is definitely Perkz taking a risk, both teams know that. And speaking of both teams knowing, the junglers are hovering on the bot side.
Ning going in, looking to find some damage onto Jankos here. Recognizing the fact that he's got the level advantage means the fight's going to go his way. Jankos down to about half HP, but he'll still be able to clear the jungle rather easily. Both junglers heading away from the bottom side now as the Shy looking to find himself the solo kill here in the top lane onto Wonder, who pops the ultimate, heals himself up there a little bit, forcing the Shy back away. Wonder still hanging around on this one. The Demonic Ascension yet to trigger the explosion. The Shy staying well away from that.
Still, that's flashes forced from both the solo laners of G2, while both the Shy and Rookie have theirs available. Ning is closing in on 6 on this Jarvan. He still has his flash, and you have to feel like that hard commit is going to be coming, especially when Wonder has no ultimate available. Very vulnerable on this lane.
Man, these solo lanes are already hard in your mouth stuff, and we're 6 minutes into the first game of this series. The level 6 ping on a minion there was critical, otherwise Wonder was going to be solo killed. Nobody goes down. As you say, both summoners down. Still definitely some room for Zinja to roam as Perkz gets a nice hello as he comes back to mid lane.
Yeah, the accelerated shock blast. Not the most polite greeting these days, but man, IG's solo lane's putting in work here early on, and that was a lot of people's concerns when they looked stylistically at this matchup and how G2 sets up the win condition. 1-3-1 works when your solo lanes are coming out even or ahead from the early game. And if this continues, IG is going to put them in a very tough spot, as Ning does have the level 6, the Cataclysm ready to go. If you go after Perkz, you've got to keep World Ender in mind.
And he was spotted on that pink ward. He didn't actually check the brush as he walked by, so they think they have full vision of this area. Baolan going to stroll by as well, and G2 can waste some time here.
Rookie doing a good job knocking Perkz back. World Ender going to be used, but he'll still get himself away.
Anything he can do to keep alive in this mid lane and pick up CS where he can is all you can really ask. That ward is getting so much value from the side of G2 because IG think they have full control. It also allows Jankos to know, I need to be hovering around mid lane to stop this turret going down.
Yeah, I mean, Perkz can't even stay on the turret to pick up the experience at this point, though. With Ning there, with Rookie there, no ult on Aatrox, no summoners available. He is losing a lot here.
This is kind of what we were expecting from IG in the early game. This is a much more ferocious team as the game starts out. G2 typically content to just play more passive, take very little risks, and just build themselves up to a moderate lead as the mid game comes, but IG is much more bloodthirsty as Ning moves in towards that blue buff. Second round of the buff starting to spawn now, and IG sees that's a chance to fight, as now Jankos could be in some trouble. Good use of the ult there to make sure the accelerated shock blast won't find him, and IG gets out.
But these passive plays are the flow-on effect of mid lane basically being vacant in terms of pressure. They don't have the ability to push up unless they see people elsewhere. You're very much susceptible to dying. Speaking of dying.
And mid.
Oh boy, Perkz does not have his World Ender ready to go anymore. Flash also not going to be available. Ning goes in, drops down the Cataclysm. Perkz going to be stunned up there. The Jace comes in. Rookie's able to find himself some damage, and first blood goes over to IG.
And the floodgates are going to be opening here. The Shy looking to get aggressive top lane too.
Not going to find anything else on that one. Ning makes his way up here, and this guy is just pathing back and forth, always looking to get involved in some kind of a scrap.
It's so tough for Jankos because the solo laners are both losing. It's allowing Ning to walk around, get in his face nonstop, and now it's not just the 30 CS, which alone is massive at 9 minutes. It's first blood here too on the Jace, and Rookie may very well have a full Ghost Blade, and he does. That is just such a terrible spot for Perkz to be in.
We're going to talk about how the fact that Perkz was under turret almost the entire time. Those double control ward, as we noted, about the entrances there. Perkz wanted one more wave. We've all tried it. We've all died to it. 3 men come in. Perkz goes down. It ends up being a trivial thing that the first blood is recorded, but it's the combination of pressure in the first 10 minutes that allows IG to stick about a 1,500 gold lead.
And what's better than first blood? First blood on the best mid laner in the world is what IG is looking at right now with that Ghost Blade ready to go. It means he's only going to be that much more deadly. Perkz on the Aatrox had to go for the Ninja Tabby rush to try to make sure that he takes as little damage as possible from this endless onslaught, but it's only going to get worse now that Rookie has blue.
And while it is very concerning what is happening here in mid lane, top lane has stabilized. The ult is back for Wonder. He's not very behind. Bottom lane is within striking distance as well. And G2 should outscale. They should be able to have the advantage going into team fights. So if they can withstand the onslaught and not allow it to get worse than it already is, there is certainly a path to victory still very well available.
Light at the end of the tunnel isn't always big, as Jackie Love's going to take a bit of free damage here.
And not too much. Still going to be a little bit over half as Jankos makes his way down into the bottom lane, seeing if maybe there's a fight to be had. But Ning's also going to be showing up here now, too. Could be a big 3 versus 3. Balon going in. Ning's able to find the knock up onto Yarn. It might be in some trouble here. Going to be headbutted backwards. Able to find the Cataclysm down to all 3 now as Ning's going to be dropped first. And G2 gets everybody out. It's 1 for 0.
Really big that Jankos able to get into the brush unexplored and thus able to pick up the first kill. It's turned on to Ning instantly. Communication advantage as they knew that they would have the ability to cleanly turn on to 1 while IG went in. Rookie sniffs around but won't find anything. Nice little counterpoint as top lane is going better for the Shy than we first might have thought.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, he's traded so aggressively. The ult's forced out again, and he still has his ultimate available. So the Shy is finding a way to win this matchup that, you know, I have certainly heard people talk about as a very tough one to win.
The Shy is having a heyday in the top lane, completely taken over up here, and this is tragedy so far here in the early game for G2. Despite the fact that they got the kill on the bottom side, it's those 2 solo laners that are so critical that are falling behind now, as Wadid makes himself available here in the mid lane to help Perkz out a little bit. We'll get the flash out from Rookie.
And the thing we have to remember is they sacked mid lane pressure to get the Swain matchup, to get a preferential matchup somewhere. They ended up going with Wonder. They end up focusing on the Swain. So the moment you see those plays come through, you do get concerned as a G2 fan, even if bot lane is a happy moment.
Did thinking about the Hex Flash over the wall. Tries to win onto Jackie. Won't be able to find everything. He's looking for Ning in the bottom side, trying to force down this tier 1 turret. They won't quite be able to find it, but they will force Yarnan back. The Shy goes into the smoke. Now going to be ganked by Wonder. Gets himself away for now, and uses the ulti to make sure the escape is clean.
At the very least, that pressure there from Jankos means that the ultimate is down from Akali. Much less chance of him being able to actually get the solo kill now on Wonder, but they are bleeding damage on these turrets. The bottom lane turret is already down. Mid lane turret is at about 1/3 HP here as well. And G2 certainly looking like they're in danger.
It's evolved into 3 losing lanes and also this jungle control on the side of IG, which is not the plan they went in with. We said 2 preferential lanes in mid and bot lane, but top lane evolving has put G2 in a worrying state.
And things are going IG's way across the board. They got themselves first blood, they got themselves first turret, they got themselves first Drake, and this is a team that boasts impressive stats upon securing those objectives. They do a wonderful job snowballing and making sure everything just becomes that much more as the game goes on. And for G2, that's definitely a point of worry, as you're now down 2,000 gold, 13 minutes.
But I have a counter stat for you, Captain Flowers. I came prepared for
All right, what do you got, Papa Smithy?
The stat I've got here is that G2 are actually 3-3 on first turrets when it comes to actually acquiring them. They're not going to pick up a lot of the first turret. First turret isn't necessarily as indicative of them picking up a victory. They have been, again, focusing on 1-3-1. That takes usually a couple of items to turn online. This is how we expected mid and bot to go. Yes, top has gone a bit worse than expected, but it's always about stabilizing the bleeding. We're not bleeding out just yet.
They certainly aren't just yet, but you have to feel like if IG gets the mid turret, if they get the top turret in these next couple of minutes, things are going to start looking very, very grim for G2. So IG wants to continue pushing the pace. They have their top lane heading up to top. They have pressure from the Jace still in the mid lane, and the Shy is going to continue that split push on the bottom side.
And speaking of pushing the pace, I actually think it's an interesting thing to bring up when you're talking about a team like IG, and we keep mentioning how explosive they are and how much they like to fight. This was a team that averaged very fast game times, the fastest of all teams during groups at 27 minutes and 53 seconds, but during quarters, they slowed it down, averaging 35 minutes and 10 seconds, pretty much 7 minutes slower, and they became the slowest average time for the quarterfinal matchups.
And one of those reasons certainly was KT being able to dictate the pace of some of those games, KT absorbing some of their pressure so incredibly well. And it'll be interesting to see if G2 is able to do the same, because if they are, you know, then the composition really does start to come online. Then it really can start to favor G2.
Let's see if IG can find themselves anything here. Yarnan popping the ulti, making sure they disengage that one as soon as they see IG prowling around, but it seems like IG always has that foot on the accelerator, just tapping it, if nothing else, looking for another play to make.
I mean, they just got the big item finishes, Captain Flowers. Hextech Gunblade versus not much on the side of Swain. The Yomas was done earlier. The one-item Power Spikes are either incomplete from G2 or outclassed by what IG is able to get early, which just accentuates the accelerator that IG is able to place. And all G2 can do is scream and go in a different direction until they get that scaling online.
Well, looks like Shelly's going the way of IG as well. They've already secured every objective in the game that's been taken so far. Why not keep that stat together as Jackie grabs the second turret of the game for his team as well?
And you have to feel like with top and bot down, mid, low, and the Rift Herald secured, that is signifying the last of the outers will fall very early on. And we're at 15 minutes with You know, that is the reality that G2 is facing here. All it's going to take is Ning to walk up and drop that Rift Herald. If G2 is not there and interrupting that or 5-man defending that, the turret is going to be gone.
Meanwhile, Jackie keeps farming up in the top side. 25 advantage in terms of his farm over what's been collected by Hjarnan so far. Again, G2 isn't a team that primarily plays around the bottom lane. A lot of times you will expect Hjarnan and Wadid to just take the loss there on the bottom side, be out-farmed. We saw that happen a lot in this series versus RNG, but the troubling issue is it's also happening elsewhere.
Yeah.
IG just seems to be winning across the map. For G2, they've got to find some way to play their game when the 1-3-1 strategy is not in any sort of a place to actually start popping off as we make our way into the mid-game at 16 minutes.
And the silver linings will soon start to go away post-20 when the game becomes Baron-focused, because G2 haven't been able to get to the river, really, with any reliability. They have a couple of wards in that area now, but they can't split the map very well. They kind of want to play wherever the enemy isn't, given where the current items are at. And in a meta where there's so much burst damage, so much pick potential, if you're behind in vision at 18 minutes and the Baron dies by 22, you're not going to be too surprised.
Yeah.
That is kind of the meta right now. There's a lot of damage, a lot of reliable CC, and that means you try to contest vision as, you know, pretty overall squishy team. You die real fast.
Yeah, I mean, there's double lethality already in here for Jace. If you hit a shock blast onto Hjarnan out of fog, he's basically out of the fight. He just has to go back.
While mid lane is the calling coming out from Jackie Love to make sure Shelly gets off that second charge onto the tier 2 turret here. As the Cimarron pop with did going in, able to find the knock-up onto 2, but now going to be disengaged mostly. Balon having to back up as Jankos looks to go in, find even more damage onto Ning, who gets himself out with a nice EQ combo. Perkz coming around from the side now as well. Jackie popping the Blade of the Moon King, keeping himself in a good spot. Perkz going to be slowed, and G2 will not be able to run down Invictus Gaming.
And that was a lot of cooldowns used there. They used the Aatrox ultimate as well as both the bottom lane ultimates to try to get this engaged. IG will be able to back off. They get the first turret. They almost get the second as well because the Rift Herald was kind of left unchecked as they went for the engage.
But if you think about what the primary objective from G2 was, it wasn't to get a pentakill, it wasn't going to happen.
No.
It was to get them away from the inner turret that looked to be dying to multiple ranged auto attackers, and the attack speed buff the Jarvan is able to pick up. They don't overinvest at the end, only Wadid has to really go super deep, and they do actually get a bit of breathing room, which right now is not usually their decision to make.
Breathe while you can, because IG is not going to let you do it much longer. Yanko's going to be in some trouble here as Balon goes forward, looking to find the knock-up with the Glacial Fissure. That's going to be kill number 1. Perkz going to be in some trouble now, too. Wadid having to get himself away, gets knocked up into that smite, and that is 2 going the way of Invictus Gaming. Jackie looking to make it 3, but Wonder gets himself away, and IG are just coming up time and again.
This is just great play here from IG. The immediate punish. They know the ultimates are down on Wadid, on Perkz as well. So they go into the jungle, they force another fight, and now they come to collect the spoils. The tier 2 tower is going to be under fire.
2 kills, and they also interrupt the back from Wonder. He's not going to be able to contest this wave, so inner turret goes down. This is all pre-20 minutes, guys. The Baron still hasn't spawned.
Jackie Love's 1-0-0. He's up 20 CS. He's playing a part in all these fights, and he's on a champion he hasn't even played yet at the tournament. Let's take another look at how it happened.
We also should consider what happened just previously. They used everything to try to get them away from the inner turret, and then 2 people walk into an unwarded rush to get a red buff. They end up losing their biggest majority shift of the game's tempo to the red buff take, and that seems like too little an objective to give up too much of a cost.
Yeah, and IG are taking away so many of these jungle camps now, trying to fight aggressively for them. And that is really helping them to develop this lead. With both the mid lane turrets gone, Baron becomes much more easy for IG to actually set up around for them to access, and it's harder and harder for G2 to get vision in that area. And we're quickly approaching the spawn of that Baron, where focus will start to be on this side of the map.
5,000 gold deficit shy of 20 minutes is not where G2 Esports wanted to find themselves here in this first game as Invictus Gaming move into the Drake pit to grab themselves the second Drake of the game. Will be Ocean number 2, so a measurable amount of sustain coming in now for these guys. Even if they take some damage from a skirmish with G2, they'll be able to heal it off.
But I want the viewers to look at the items here and think about when they're strongest and when they will become strongest. Because you look at the side of specifically IG, lethality, very much front-ended power when you have low armor values, you're penetrating through that armor. Black Cleaver and Blade of the Ruin King, a 2-item power spike that doesn't really build up with a 3rd, 4th item. You kind of need to get later into a build. G2 have a no-stack Rod of Ages, need 10 minutes for that. Storm Razor that wants to build into a 3-item power spike. They're not able to fight with the same firepower. They're 6,000 gold behind, and IG are at their strongest point, while G2 are close to their weakest.
And that's why they're just sacrificing this turret. They're putting Perkz Orcs in the top lane. They're saying, all right, let's take a trade, get some gold back here, and try to fight for what we can.
And this is what I was talking about with G2 earlier. They are risk averse. They're trying to minimize these losses, not put themselves in a spot where you just gamble it all on one fight that you probably won't win. But that does mean that IG will continue building this lead as they pressure onto the tier 3 mid.
I can think of a risk-averse region that's not represented in semifinals, and that's Korea. So risk-averse has been a style that's very difficult to pilot, and with how much of a lead IG already have, you might just be watching on as the Nexus explodes.
And they're pushing towards this base with no Baron. This is not a typical play. Usually you see a team want to go for Baron before you go for this. Shy gonna be taking some damage now. Ning on the front line, barely getting himself away. Nice disengage from Balan. As Perks goes forward, World Ender activated, so he's not really afraid of dying. But that's gonna be a big ultimate expended there by G2. IG decided to back themselves away with their jungler low.
Yeah, and Jankos without his ultimate as well. I mean, IG is just enforcing their will upon G2. They're forcing them to look for that engage. They're saying, well, you're just going to lose the turret. Jace and Jackie Love, this Lucian, they're sieging so aggressively because they have the power, because they're grouped up at the proper time.
And that's about the timing there, Azael, is that because it's early, the Jace is an oppressive siege machine that can walk up, and we're not talking about 1-3-1s at all from the side of IG. It's just pure siege, something that we've seen sparingly in the World Championship. Much more 1-3-1 and team fight. IG, they fall back, they control the map, and the items only get sweeter for Rookie.
It's Duskblade for Rookie, and it's Oblivion Orb plus Sorcerer's Shoe for the Shy. This is so much flat penetration on these high damage carries against a team that, as you guys mentioned, you got a 2-stack Rod of Ages. You got half of a Sterix Gauge. You've got no defense whatsoever on the bottom laners, and G2 will melt to this damage.
You've got control wards in a dream about contesting the Baron. Captain Flowers, that's
control
honestly...
wards in a dream and a mana crystal.
It doesn't help you get more damage, but they certainly need to keep this Baron alive. If it goes down, you can just see the Nexus going down very, very promptly. Afterwards, looking at the total damage dealt, seems like Rookie in this Aatrox matchup. Again, it's a skill matchup later. Early game is just a ranged champion wailing away on a melee champion, and to the tune of 5 times the damage dealt.
Let's see if this fight actually turns into a whole lot here in the G2 jungle. Kieran and Jankos both took the brunt of that accelerated shot blast from Rookie, who is not afraid of anything right now. He says, Perks, you can jump forward. Let me show you how to jump.
And now what we're seeing is IG invading the jungle, getting full vision control. They're going to bounce between top and mid lane and just make it so G2 has no access to even get that vision over by the Baron. And this gets so difficult now for G2 to check into this area, knowing that the Assassins could be waiting there. And look at that Shock Blast. That's one Shock Blast, and Yarden basically has to go back to base.
The pressing problem also is they don't even get the mid lane minion wave. They can't get to Raptors. Their income is whatever IG damn please them to pass over. And you get suffocating moments like this where even between inner and inhibitor turrets, IG do roam.
Ning doing a good job stepping out of the way of those chains, prioritizing walking to the side, and he's so tanky on the Jarvan, he doesn't really care. He knows that there's enough damage already on his team. He's gone for the full tank build with the Knight's Vow into the Cinder Hulk. Also has a stopwatch in case he gets the one who's jumped on. As now Yarn is going to be in some trouble, gets himself dunked into the back line, goes Ning, goes into the stasis right now. Jackie Love grabbed the first kill. As IG will push even further in, they do lose Ning, but they're still continuing to look to make those plays. Perks is in World Ender, gonna go into Resurrection. Wonder trying to find the damage on the Demonic Ascension, but he won't be able to get really anyone. Balon over the wall could be in some trouble. Instead, it's gonna be a killing spree for Jackie Love. And IG win yet another fight.
They're diving the inhibitor turrets at 24 minutes here. The minion wave already set up. It's another turret going the way of IG. All 6 have now been cracked.
Regular season IG meets World Semifinals, and World Semifinals are found wanting. They continue to dive. They continue to ramp up the game. G2, they just need time, but that time is not going to be allowed by IG.
IG has not missed a beat this game.
No.
They got ahead, they stayed ahead, and they did it because of plays like this.
And it's all about where it is. It's between inner and inhibitor turret. Yarden almost ends up straight up cold. He would have died to the entire channel if not for any interrupt. Stasis available so Ning can reset, and IG just want blood.
Yeah, and you had to think that this was maybe a chance for G2 to turn something around, diving that deep. But IG too strong, too far ahead. The use of the Shroud here for Akali, and Baolen jumping over to protect him. As soon as the Demonic Ascension is down, Jackie Love just dashes to the side and takes down Wonder. There's no real way for them to retaliate this far behind.
The only person on IG that has even died is Nate.
Yep.
Because he knows that on this comp, he is the meatball. And that's his entire purpose as he just continues stacking those tank itemizations as the rest of the team just masses damage.
You just have to engage. There's more than enough follow-up here.
Speaking of engage, he sets Jackie up for a rampage, and IG is now set up for a mid-lane push. It's tier 3 turret under siege. They'll knock that one down, no problem whatsoever. Inhibitor will fall next, as 4 members of G2 now wonder, how in the hell are we gonna hold this here at the Nexus turrets? Jackie going forward, looking to find a couple shots there, getting that damage. Shy's on the front line, it's gonna be damage given out on the Perks down here as well. Balon throws up the shield, Shy looking to find damage on the back line too. Perks in the front line won't be able to do much of anything, goes into resurrection immediately. Turret falls, 1 left standing, as now Wonder's gonna be the target. Goes into stasis to buy a couple of extra seconds, has to get himself away. Shy still looking to make something happen. It's 2 seconds of burn and respawn, but G2's already losing everyone else. Widid's gonna be brought very low. They're trying to go back in and find the counterattack, but Yankless can't quite do it. It's a double kill over to Rookie, but Wonder gets the shutdown onto him. Ning, Balon, Jackie, they're all on the Nexus turret while Shy just dashes around and kites everyone else through the smoke. IG has managed to find themselves most of the fight, but they won't be able to grab the Nexus just yet. They retreat away for now.
G2 holds just barely there, as IG do get both the Nexus turrets, but the respawn of Yarden and using that well to heal back up time and time again, just barely by the skin of their teeth, keep them alive.
But IG is styling guys. They're getting kills. Rookie's going for extra gold. They know this game will inevitably end. They can't find the end right now, but what about now?
Oh, Ning doesn't need the end when he can find Wonder like that, and that's going to be Jackie set up to find himself a double kill over to IG's AD carry. 6, 0, and 3 on this Lucian. Ban my Xayah, ban my Kai'Sa, I don't care. Taking it straight to him.
They're just trying to destroy the morale, destroy the mental of G2 with this ending here by staying for so long. Most teams in the world reset. China and specifically Invictus Gaming keep hitting you as hard as possible. While this game will extend in terms of game timer, the gold lead is already 12,000.
Yeah, and you have to think that the Baron is all but guaranteed here for IG. Is one more time onto Yarden. Flash was down from the top lane dive, and there was just no way out.
This was a long time ago also, this replay. We had to cut towards the end of it. This is where resetting is probably smart. We're low levels and not as many items on many. But Jackie Love is the MVP. He's the El Presidente here. He's got so many buffs with the Zeke's convergence. Also, the Night Spell. How about a Baron buff to join it?
No reason not to, right? It's on the map, it's alive, you want it to be dead, and off the map, might as well accomplish both of those things here. But now, as IG is currently sitting at a 12,000 gold lead, 2 Drakes up. They've got all the turrets they could possibly dream of, and look at the items. It's Guardian Angel on Rookie, ready to go. This is a nightmare for G2.
I mean, Jackie just bought a full IE. He just bought a full IE after that last fight, after the Baron, after all the extra gold that he had picked up. I mean, this is 4 full items for Jackie Love, 2 in pieces for Yarden, and this just seems like it is all done but the crying.
And this is the Prodigy AD carry who's still 17 years of age. If they make the final, will still be 17 years of age. Coming to age on this big pressure match. They're able to roll through. Widid's looking for a flank.
Widid trying to make some sort of a final stand here as G2 have to find their fight. Perk's going to be taken very low. Ning already grabbed the kill down onto Yarden in the back line. Balon grabs the kill onto Widid here too. Wonder trying to stand and make some sort of a defense, but everyone else has already gone. A double kill over to Ning. And IG get the clean ace, and they'll take the whole base. Game 1 goes to Invictus Gaming.
And what an incredible performance from this LPL team, really showcasing their solo lane dominance. This is the way that a lot of people thought they could play, and they didn't show it for most of Worlds, but now you see the Shy. He is counterpicked. He is the one that has to go into this 5th pick Swain, and he is the one dictating the pace of the game. He is dominating that and turning it into this pressure point for his team and making it 3 losing lanes for G2.
And I think that last point is the most important thing. Definitely a statement game for IG, but the part where if you're the coaching staff of G2, you go back to the draft and say, we left the Aatrox as a flex, let's get a big lead somewhere else and kind of sack Aatrox in a bad matchup against the Jace early. The payoff of the Swain was not the right payoff, so maybe this is the sort of thing where you just leave it in one side and say, let's fix the draft, and maybe it'll be more competitive in game number 2.
Well, IG are off to just about the best start they could hope for here in this semifinal, but to hear more about how they did it in game 1, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Exactly that, Captain Flowers. Game 1 goes the way of IG, and in dominant fashion. We had some questions around champion select, side selection, how that would play into this series, and no doubt it played a big role in this first game. IG electing to go to blue side, and we kind of talked about they must clearly have a plan. Jat, what do they do?
They were really bold, actually, and the fact that they banned away the Victor Aatrox counter pick to almost, like, dare the Aatrox pick, and they didn't even take it, right? They first pick Akali instead, which had been the flex pick that G2, I think, had most utilized throughout most of this tournament. So they got that, and then they still had that Jace, which we talked about in the pre-show. When would it come out for Rookie? And this was a perfect time.
Yeah, I think that's the awesome thing when you've had a couple of days to prepare this draft here, and you know there are pocket picks like Jace, even though you haven't need to show it so far. The fact you can then for a semifinal save it until this very point into an Aatrox, because basically what they did, as Jad said, with the Victor ban, they said you now should ban Aatrox. But if you ban Aatrox, we first pick a Kali, and you don't get anything. G2 ended up just saying we ban Kai'Sa, a little bit of a waste ban in a sense.
Trade.
And then you get the Aatrox for Kali trade, which normally would be pretty okay for most teams, but with the Jace, obviously, it ends up going heavily IG favor, and I think that was really cool. Also, I want to look at the bot lane real quick.
That Lucian
From Lucian, JackeyLove and solo queue, we looked at this. Lucian, all the way down. I think when he saw this with 280 carries banned, he was like, awesome. I want to play Lucian.
Didn't want to play them anyway.
And he gets it. He was insane.
Yeah, it's let me help out with the scouting report for G2 there. Rookie plays Jace, as does the Shy. They're really good at it, and JackeyLove is a Lucian Draven one-trick. That has always been his thing. So I understand if you look at
One-trick's two champions.
One-trick's two champions.
Want everyone to be aware of that.
No, it's about him.
Never been done before.
It's about him being a lane phase ADC. He's the dude who goes and he flashes forward. Of course he's going to play aggressive. And, you know, when I predicted G2, I was like, you know, I'm so tired of the Kai'Sa. I'm so tired of the Sion. This is the Invictus gaming that I wanted to see. I wanted to see them play early. They've decided to throw down the gauntlet, and now all bets are off. Everything is out the window.
It's about time the dude who's flashing forward in team fights picks a champion like Lucian so he can just do the same thing in the lane phase. And this draft put together by Invictus Gaming benefited them extraordinarily in the early game.
Yeah, and it plays off the strengths of the players. Rookie has had the most dominant lane phase of any player at the World Championship. It again happens this game, but the rest of the map had it too. Bot lane was up CS, top lane was up CS. Jarvan had more CS than Xin Zhao. Like, they were crushing this early game.
And what's so important about the Jarvan is we had questions about what was going to be the priority pick on blue side for Invictus Gaming. Was it going to be one of the solo laners, or would it be the Xin Zhao? And I was really shocked when they didn't grab the Xin Zhao, because I felt Ning's champion pool would be continued to be punished. But the fact that he grabs the Jarvan as a great response to Sivir. Jarvan is so good against Sivir because he can just lock her down in the Thunderdome.
Right.
And she's unable to get all the bounces that she really needs, and it slows down the utility of her ultimate. So I think it was a really good answer and showed that Ning still has some trump cards left.
Yeah, so not only did you get probably the best possible setup for IG, you also managed to then get the other team, who normally wants to play a lot for a strong early game as well, to actually have a very weak early game. So you stylistically shut down what G2 normally wants to do, while also getting your favorite composition on the other side. Like, that is a brilliant pick and ban phase if you're IG.
But your players have to have these pocket picks. They have to have the ability to perform on these champions, which is part of why MasterCard Player of the Game is going to Rookie this time around in the mid lane. Guy's been a top performer for this team all tournament long.
And again, the Jace is so important because it can be flexed between both of them. As this series goes on, if G2 do not pay attention to it, the Shy can also pick up that Jace and has played it in the LPL. Normally, when you see the Jarvan, it means the Galio is going to come across. But with Rookie grabbing his signature Jace, it means that they can flex around G2, and they force G2 to reveal their hand before IG does. So they got counter pick on blue side.
So what's next for G2? How do they fix this? I want to pull up the same draft again from this game and first identify within this draft maybe what they could have done differently, and then we can talk about game 2.
So I think going into it, they had the completely wrong plan in the ban phase when they said we will try and target JackeyLove and his 280 carries. The only two he's played so far in the tournament, because the bot lane is not the one you should be afraid of. I think giving away first pick Akali is a giant risk already and forces you to kind of draft around it the entire time. But then also after banning these 80 carries, still feeling the need to protect your bot lane by early picking Alistar to allow a severe pick for Yarnan, it's too many things invested in the first phase towards the bot side, and you still ended up losing lane hard because of Braum Lucian.
Do we have side select?
G2 just chose red side.
That's interesting.
I think they skip at least the Kai'Sa
So
ban.
what this tells me is, yes, they changed their ban phase, but so much of what has made G2 successful has been the ability to play around the power picks of this meta. I feel like that's Akali, that's Aatrox, that's Aurelia, that's LeBlanc.
Okay.
Aurelia and LeBlanc were phase 2 bans here. If they were planning on power picking and outplaying, I think they'd be blue side because then they'd flex. This tells me they may have practiced better counter picks.
Okay.
Like, they're going to say, okay, Akali topside. What do we have to actually counterpick that left? Because IG came into this game and they said, we have a new Aatrox counterpick and it's Jace, right? What new counterpick can G2 pull out? Because I think that's the only way they win.
I think because of Lucian being shown, they can drop the AD carry bans completely. They might just go in and say Akali
They just
ban,
ban more power
Aatrox
picks?
ban, Urgot ban, like these kind of things. Because right now, at least take the Braum and not the Alistar.
That's the thing. Especially if you're going to play Sivir, there's no reason to take the Alistar because
It's just to protect her because she can't play against Alistar.
I just think
it's
that
not good enough.
I understand that like the spell shield and the headbutt and like it can be obnoxious, but I also think that Baolan, while he has shown up on Alistar, is a really good Braum player. And if you deny the Braum, you then make it so much more impactful for the Sivir boomerangs. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
if she's trying to boomerang into
Just
the
take
unbreakable.
the Braum.
Right.
Take the
They
Braum.
might be able to buy themselves some real estate in the bans by dropping these 80 carries after seeing the Lucian. But really, it sounds like we want them to move away from this bot focus in the draft. It's not how you've been winning your games in the tournament so far. Go back to what's been working.
Completely agree there. And I also think red side is the riskier choice for G2. Like, they were winning blue side against RNG. And now, with the way side select works, if they lose this game, they'd never get a blue side chance because then they can have to play red side again in game 3 if that's what IG wants.
If they do protect bot lane again in draft, make sure you're not getting a losing 2v2 lane at least, because then you're failed. That's why the Braum pick is more important.
Maybe taking a risk here, sticking on the red side. We'll see how G2 bounces back for game 2 after this commercial break.